Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be making a sticker cutout for this particular sticker here. Now, this is for like any old sticker, like if I wanted to cut this out, or we're making the cut lines and getting this ready to be printed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click this image and open image in a new tab. And then sometimes there'll be a plus sign, and I would hit click again the plus sign to blow this up even bigger, but this is the actual file size right here. And so I'm going to right-click this and click Save Image, and then I'm going to save it into my folder or wherever I want to put it. So there's my, I'm going to change the file name and saved it, and this is a WebP file, which is going to be fine for our use. And then I'm going to go over to Adobe Illustrator and then create a new document, File, New. I'm just going to start with a 4x6 landscape, CMYK, 300 PPI, looks good for print. And then I'm going to go File, Place, and then I'm going to pick my image that I'm trying to make a sticker of. Then you can see it's going to give me a preview of what the sticker looks like, and then I just click and drag, and I'm going to fill up most of the space here. And you see that it has this X across it. That means that this is a linked file right now. So if I want to send this to the printer, I also have to send this file. And that's nice because I can maybe go in Photoshop and edit this, like I would maybe edit the hat and the hand here in Photoshop. And then once I save the Photoshop file, or save it in Photoshop, it'll automatically update the file here. But the downside of doing that is that then, excuse me, then you have to link the file. Also, you have to be aware of where the file is on your computer. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to click Embed, which means I'm embedding this image in that file. You can see how that X disappears. And then I want to have this cut out around these Marios. So what I'm going to do is, to start off, is I'm going to lock this layer and then duplicate it and then unlock that. So basically I'm going to be using this top image to make those cut lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is click this image and then go to Object, Rasterize. This is going to lower, I'm going to lower the resolution, and that's going to make it easier to image trace it, which we're going to do next. So if your computer is running a little slow, this step is kind of important because then it won't freeze up your computer when you try to image trace. Then I'm going to click OK, and you can see how it's a lot more pixelated. So then I'm going to click Image Trace, and you can see this is where it's taking those pixels and turning it into vector lines. And I don't like that result, so I want to see my image trace panel. So I can go to Window where all my panels are, and there's Image Trace. And I'm going to change it because I want to have a nice outline. And you can see there's space here, there's space over here that I want to have Illustrator create my path for me. So I'm going to start with maybe 16 colors. That's looking pretty good. Let's try high fidelity photo. There we go. That's looking a lot better. We got a bunch of shapes there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is, now that I've got a preview that I like, I could see that there's a line, and then I'll have to do some editing here. A line around the corner there, and then I'm going to click Expand at the top here on my options bar. And if you don't see this options bar, you could go to Window, and at the very bottom, at the very top, there's the Control. See that disappears. Window, Control. Click Expand, and then you can see all the different paths for that. So then I'm going to use the Direct Selection tool and click off, and then click on this white area, and then hit Delete. Then I'm going to go back to my Selection tool, click on this again, and it looks like I might have some extra white areas here too. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the Direct Selection tool. See that hit Delete there, and there's nothing there. Okay. And then I'm going to add a stroke. So I'm going to just click the up arrows here. You can see how it's getting bigger and bigger. And this is about where I want the lines to cut. And you see all these jagged lines here? That's all these crazy turns, and there's thousands of paths we got here. So what I'm going to do is go to the stroke panel, and then you might have to hide or expand show options there, and then I'm going to change the corners to rounded. You can see that gets rid of them right away. Then what I have to do is turn these strokes into shapes. So I'm going to go to Object, Expand, and I'm going to expand the fill and the stroke. And then you can see how now it's even more paths. So the next step here is to combine everything. So for my Pathfinder panel, again, if I didn't see that, I go Window, Pathfinder. I'm going to unite all of these shapes together. And you can see now it's got, this outside line is what I want to use to cut. But it's really jaggedy, and this would kind of mess up the printer. So under the Shaper tool lives the Smooth tool. So I'm going to get the Smooth tool, and then, go back to the Selection tool, click on this again, click on the Smooth tool, and just kind of go over the edges. This is going to smooth this out to make it less paths, less turns, harsh turns in the path, which is important for the printer. Just the less harsh turns there are, the less chance of the blade breaking. Just did that fairly quickly. And then I would go back, and then this is where I would change the fill and the stroke. So like I don't want any fill, I want just a stroke. And I can see what this kind of looks like, and that looks like a pretty good cut line for me. It looks like it's going to work, except maybe right in here. Yep, that looks a little weird. So I'm going to just click on this point and use the direct selection tool and kind of manipulate it a little. I could even go in with the pen tool and then click on this point to get rid of it, and that's even better. And then I Control 0 to zoom back out, and I could see that I could expand this a little bit, but I definitely don't want to have my line go all the way to the edge. So I need to unlock this layer, and then I'm going to hit Control A to select all, and then I could fit this a little bit bigger. Doesn't matter if it goes off the artboard, just the cut lines are inside, and that looks good. Then I'm going to use my Canvas tool my artboard tool to shrink down the artboard, because I don't need all this extra white space. And that's looking pretty good. We're almost done here, folks. The last step is to make this line into a cut line that the printer will recognize. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on, so my stroke is in front of the fill, and then I'm just going to grab a random color. You could double click on this here and just pick any random color. And then I'm going to my swatch panel. And I want to create a new swatch out of this random color. So click the plus sign, and this is where you have to spell this correctly, cut contour. Just like that, capital C, C-U-T-C-O-N-T-O-U-R. And then changing it to a spot color. So this exact name and changing it to a spot color lets the printer know that use this line for cutting. I'm going to hit OK. And then one more thing here is to change the stroke, it needs to be 0.25. So in order for the printer to understand that this is a line for cutting, it needs to be a spot color named cut contour. You can see over here that it's got a little spot on it now. That means it's a spot color, not a process color. Process color means that it uses cyan, yellow, magenta, and black inks to make the color, where spot color is pre-mixed ink. And then it's 0.25, it's a spot color named cut contour. We're good to go. Next thing I'm going to do is save this as a PDF. So I go File, Save As, and then I'm going to change the name to whatever I want it to be, in this case Mario Evolution, and then change the file type to Adobe PDF, and then I'm going to hit Save, and then I can just accept all the defaults here. And that is, now this file is ready to get sent to the printer, and it will print out Mario's and then also cut it out. So you can see the example here. And that's all, folks.